You're running from the very thing God created you for. I know you are. Because I did the same thing. I felt it. That pull in my spirit, that whisper from heaven saying, "This is what I made you to do." And instead of stepping toward it, I stepped back. I made excuses, I pointed out my flaws. I listed all the reasons why I wasn't the right person. I was too young, too inexperienced, too broken, too afraid, and fear became the wall between me and my destiny. I know that feeling. That moment when God calls you to something bigger than yourself and your first instinct is to hide. To say, "Not me, God, anyone but me." Because deep down, you know that if you say yes, your life will never be the same. The comfort will be gone, the safety will disappear, the familiar will fade, and you'll be left standing at the edge of the unknown, terrified, vulnerable, dependent on a God you can't see to do what you know you can't do alone. But here's what I learned. Your calling isn't waiting for you to be brave enough. It's waiting for you to trust God enough. 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7 says, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." That fear you're feeling? It's not from God. That voice telling you you're not qualified? That's not his voice. That doubt whispering that you'll fail? That's the enemy trying to stop you from stepping into the purpose God designed you for. I think about Moses. God appeared to him in a burning bush and said, "I'm sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people out of Egypt." And Moses immediately started making excuses. Exodus chapter 3, verse 11. "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh?" Then in chapter 4, verse 10, "I have never been eloquent, neither in the past nor since you have spoken to your servant. I am slow of speech and tongue." Moses was afraid. He felt unqualified. He didn't think he was the right person for the job. But God didn't say, "You're right, Moses. Let me find someone better." He said, "I will be with you." Exodus chapter 3, verse 12. That's the only qualification you need. Not your ability, not your confidence, not your resume. God's presence. When God calls you, he goes with you. And his presence is more than enough to overcome every limitation you have. I thought about all the people in the Bible God called who felt the same way Moses did. Gideon was hiding in a winepress, terrified of the enemy, when God called him a mighty warrior. Gideon said, "How can I save Israel? My clan is the weakest, and I am the least in my family." Judges chapter 6, verse 15. But God used him to defeat an entire army with just 300 men, not because Gideon was strong, because God was with him. Jeremiah was young when God called him to be a prophet, and Jeremiah said, "I do not know how to speak. I am too young." Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 6. But God said, "Do not say, 'I am too young.' You must go to everyone I send you to and say whatever I command you. Do not be afraid of them, for I am with you and will rescue you." God didn't wait for Jeremiah to grow up. He equipped him in the process. David was a shepherd boy, the youngest of his brothers, overlooked and underestimated. But when everyone else saw a giant they couldn't defeat, David saw a God who couldn't be stopped. 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 45. "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty." David's calling was bigger than his fear, and he stepped into it. And he changed history. Esther was an orphan, a Jewish girl living in exile, who became queen. But when her people were facing annihilation, she was terrified to speak up. It could cost her everything. But her cousin Mordecai said something that changed her perspective. Esther chapter 4, verse 14. "And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this?" Esther realized her calling was bigger than her fear. And she said, "If I perish, I perish." And she saved an entire nation. Every single one of them felt inadequate. Every single one of them was afraid. But every single one of them said yes. And God did through them what they could never have done on their own. So why are you running? What are you so afraid of? Failure? You might fail. But what if you succeed? Rejection? Some people might reject you, but what if others are changed by you? Inadequacy? You are inadequate, but God isn't. And he's the one doing the work. You're just the vessel. I realized something profound. My calling was never about me being enough. It was about God being faithful. Philippians chapter 1, verse 6 says, "Being confident of this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus." God doesn't start something and abandon it halfway through. He finishes what he starts. And if he called you, he will equip you. He will sustain you. He will complete the work he began in you. Maybe your calling is to start that ministry, but you're afraid no one will come. Maybe your calling is to write that book, but you're afraid no one will read it. Maybe your calling is to have that conversation, but you're afraid of what they'll say. Maybe your calling is to leave that job, but you're afraid of what will happen next. Maybe your calling is to step into leadership, but you're afraid you'll mess it up. But what if your fear is the very thing keeping you from the life God designed you to live? What if the thing you're most afraid of is the door to your destiny? What if the calling you're running from is the purpose you were born to fulfill? Isaiah chapter 41, verse 10 says, "So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." God will strengthen you. God will help you. God will uphold you. You don't have to do this in your own strength. You just have to show up. and He'll do the rest. I stopped running when I realized that my fear of failing God was smaller than my fear of never trying. I stopped hiding when I understood that my calling wasn't about me being perfect. It was about God being glorified. I stopped making excuses when I saw that every person God used in the Bible was flawed, broken, scared, and imperfect. Just like me. Just like you. So what's God calling you to do? What dream has He placed in your heart that you've been too afraid to pursue? What vision has He given you that you've been too insecure to step into? What conversation has He been prompting you to have that you've been avoiding? What risk has He been asking you to take that fear has paralyzed you from taking? It's time. Time to stop running. Time to stop hiding. Time to stop making excuses. Time to step into the calling God has placed on your life. Not because you're ready, but because He is. Not because you're strong enough, but because He is. Not because you have it all figured out, but because He does. Joshua chapter 1 verse 9 says, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." Wherever you go. Into the unknown. Into the uncomfortable. Into the calling. God will be with you, and His presence is all you need. Your calling is bigger than your fear. Your purpose is greater than your insecurity. Your destiny is more powerful than your doubt. And the God who called you is faithful to complete what He started. So stop waiting. Stop hesitating. Stop running. Step out. Step forward. Step into what God has been calling you to all along. He's been waiting. And He's ready to do something extraordinary through you. If this message awakens something inside you, don't stop here. In the description and in the pinned comment, there's something waiting to help you grow in courage, strengthen your faith, and step boldly into the calling God has placed on your life.